I'm proposing maybe the opposite approach.
Okay.
And I guess let me tell you a story here to emphasize this. I used to work for Boeing, so I've operated in both the office environment and the manufacturing factory environment. In the factory, we have 80 employees and one computer. In the factory, if you stop working on the airplane, you're not building airplanes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the idea of all of these employees stopping what they're doing and taking training throughout the day, it's just not
realistic in your world.
It's not realistic in that world. And by the way, I've worked in companies where professional roles were the same, especially in sales, right? If you're taking time to do training, you're not doing a sale, or you're not marketing, you're not, so very high paced roles where I don't know who was mentioning it earlier, but yeah, these people can't, it's almost punishing them to take time off.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And that was the discussion that we had the last coffee chat when we talked about sales training, right? That windshield time, it means something. It's money in their pocket.
Yeah. So my observation here is I've seen self-directed learners in these environments, and they behave differently than everyone else. Self-directed learner in a manufacturing environment, they take classes in the evening. Self-directed learner in a manufacturing environment, they ask for assignments that get them doing things that they haven't done before or stretch their skills. They ask for it. They're not assigned it, right? And you could say similar things about people in sales. So whether or not we put e-learning or digital resources in their hands, in my experience, that doesn't have as much impact as having like a self-directed learner. To me, that's the key. So I guess what I'm imagining here is, what if we shifted our focus? And I guess it wouldn't have to be, and I'm not proposing that we like stop building training or anything like that, but think about self-directed learning more like a soft skill. Like you can't just go tell somebody to have emotional intelligence, right? It takes effort. It takes transformational learning, heat experiences, right? You have to make them uncomfortable. They have uncomfortable experiences, I guess, in the workplace, and eventually over time they develop emotional intelligence. And I think you can develop employees into self-directed learners using the same types of approaches. If we had that emphasis, or if we placed some kind of priority on that, what would that do for our ability to build capability within a company? And should we have that responsibility? Maybe I would advocate for that if I, were in a position to be able to do that.
Totally with you. And I don't think anyone here is suggesting that we build training for self-directed learning. I think what the variety of ideas is, how do we get people just in the mindset space? For some people, self-directed learning is an adventure. Like you said, Chester, they'll ask for it. Sometimes even demand it. It's like, I want this time. I want to be able to do this. This is the direction I'm going in. And if you're with me, great. If you're not with me, great. Yeah. So you've got a lot of people who have that particular mindset. Others, I think there are two other categories. Those who want to, but don't know what it means because they've never had that kind of guidance before, because they've gone through grade school, high school, university, all being very, very guided, very, very structured. But they want to take this adventure, just not quite sure how. Then you have others who believe that they already know everything that they need to know. I'm done. And not really realizing that every day is a learning journey. We all pick up something new every day. Whether or not we recognize it as learning is a totally different argument. So I think we've got these three buckets of people, and seeing those people through those particular lenses, I believe is going to be helpful for us. Just like you said, Chester, we have to think of, we got to think about context, right? Contextually. A salesperson isn't really going to want to take time away from their workday because that means they're taking commissions out of their pockets. Manufacturing people literally cannot, because if they're not turning the widget, nobody's turning the widget, and the widget needs to be turned. Things, production, healthcare. There are a variety of different industries where this becomes a struggle just because of their day-to-day jobs. So now what is our role? How do we help?
Yeah, and that's where I'm suggesting that, or advocating for helping people learn to be self-directed,
Yes.
and creating and to create. And I asked earlier if it's a mindset or a habit.
Both.
Yeah, and making self-directed learning intrinsic for them through transformational learning. If you're not a self-directed learner, then similar to developing emotional intelligence, why not work on that with the employees?
Well, how do we do that? I mean, let's get out of the theoretical and let's talk about practical application. How do we get them to become better self-directed learners? It's part of inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah, I think my mental model for developing soft skills for employees, you can have training on it, and it's helpful to give them, and the idea that it exists, but you also have to do experiential learning. And just like the other soft skills, you have to put them in a position to where they need to be self-directed learning, or they need to do self-directed learning in order to be successful.
I hate to buzzword some of this stuff, but everybody's what's in it for me is different, right?
Yeah, right.
So even to help define some of that may enlighten us to opportunities or ways to generate that excitement, or laid back team ends. All right, sorry, I put the comment. What's the car chase or the explosion for this person that's going to draw their interest to it? And then once we develop something that is, oh, wow, this is pretty gosh darn cool, that solidifies or creates that competency and confidence that, oh, there's more. Oh, that was good. I would like more, right? It's just, how do we find a way to push them off the shelf, so to speak?
And how do we learn about them? How do we learn about them first before?
Right.
People tend to learn about things that they care about. If they don't care about it or don't have a reason to care about it, well, they're not going to care about it. And until we understand what they care about, we can't give them a reason to care about it. So there's the biggest chasm I see.
Yeah, and I think that's where it has to be transformational. And I think a successful way to do that is to push the learning to the managers. You develop managers to know how to do that, to develop their employees, so they build it into their work.
It's so hard to do without rebuilding wheels, though, right? It's a big hurdle.
Yeah, not to throw out, I guess, another consulting group here, but I was at a training a couple weeks ago, and this training doctor group was talking. I don't know if anybody was on that, but what they did
Learning
was
Rebel plugs only here. No, it's okay. It's all right.
So I loved this, and I ordered it. They've created a book of 25 activities that managers can do to develop soft skills in their employees. And it's activities that they can do like in the flow of work. So I'm going to give you, trying to help managers learn how to create assignments for their employees that will build those soft skills. And so I would recommend one of those or the 26th activity would be on self-directed learning, and teaching, giving managers the tools to learn how to create activities in the flow of work that will build the self-directed learning mindset.
Gentlemen, I'm loving this conversation. I'm just going to sit back and eat some popcorn, because I think y'all are, it's a worthy conversation. Are there any other voices that want to come into this conversation?